What is happening, everybody? Are we live? Is this thing working? It looks like it's working. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. You know, it's about time that we have an open and honest discussion about electric vehicles. I mean, let's face it, Dodge is going to be, hold on, excuse me. Sorry, had a little bit of barf. Dodge is going to be releasing the electric variants of the Charger, of course, way ahead of the Hurricane Inline 6. Didn't hear V8 in there, did you? No, you didn't. Anyway, Dodge is going to be releasing the EV variants of that vehicle. It's kind of funny when you think about it because, well, EVs just don't really have the same following that internal combustion does, mainly because of all the issues that many people find with EVs. They don't have a problem with the powertrain itself, just with the multiple inconveniences that seem to come with it. And there's other things to consider too, like the owners of EVs. We're going to touch on this a little bit, but what I want to talk about first are the vehicles themselves. And I don't really want to get into the likes of Rivian or Tesla or start going down the list, okay? The reason why I don't want to start getting into other brands just yet is because I want to focus on Dodge first. Then we can start to talk a little bit about those other brands. Those that are still around and those that have gone away. And then I want to talk about why so many people get turned off by EVs just in general. I mean, look, this is a topic that we've got to be able to take a look at and discuss openly and honestly, and try to remove bias. Because if you're a Dodge fan and you are true to your Mopar roots, you have to understand that this is a new family member for you. I like it or not, that's how it is. So they're showing up to Thanksgiving dinner, whether you want them to or not. Might as well hang out as the family evolves, right? You know how that goes. Well, this is perfect timing. We're just getting out of Thanksgiving and into the Christmas season. So what better way to analogize this, right? So anyway, diving into the cars themselves. The problem with the electric Charger Daytona, well, it's this. This is the freaking problem with the Daytona EV. What am I showing you right now? I'm showing you the pricing. And I will read from the interwebs. The electric Charger Daytona will come in at $61,590. That's base price for the 500 horsepower RT. In other words, the base model. While the 670 horsepower Scat Pack entry level price is going to be around $75,000, just the other side. In other words, once you throw some options at these things, a couple of the software upgrades, you're going to be sitting at around $65,000 and $80,000 for one of these vehicles. I'm going to take a sip of my beverage. I'm going to let that just marinate with you, okay? And I shall go on to read. And the Dodge Charger Daytona RT will start at $61,500, almost $14,000 more than the 2023 gas-powered RT. Would you like me to repeat that? Let me go ahead and repeat that just so you know where we're talking about here. Almost $14,000 more than the 2023 gas-powered RT. So what do you get for all this? Well, you get a vehicle that is far and away more inconvenient to own and far and away more expensive. Again, $14,000. People will argue that, well, you don't have to maintain these cars as much. Okay, 14,000 effing dollars. Okay, let's just talk about gas. And let's pretend we're going to take $2,000 out of this and just say that's for maintenance cost. freaking 12,000 divided by, I don't know, what is gas costing these days? $4? $4. Okay. That is 3,000 gallons worth of gasoline. Okay. Hold on. Let me do that just so you can see this, because I know some people out there, there's 12,000 because I took 2,000 out for your maintenance. Divided by $4 is 3,000 gallons. Okay. So 3,000 gallons, and you're going to multiply that. Let's see, you're getting 20 miles per gallon on average. That's 60,000 miles. 60,000 whole ass miles. Even when you account for oil changes and maybe a belt change, a tune-up or something like that, and you've given yourself $2,000 to play with, you still have to drive that thing 60,000 miles to make up the difference for gasoline. Now, this is assuming I guess, that electricity is free, because it still costs money to put electricity into the batteries of these cars. But where would you be putting that electricity into the battery? Are you going to be doing this at your house? A house that you are doing well enough in life in this economy to own? And do you have a charging station at your house? A 240 volt thing, the kind that will charge the car fully overnight, right? Okay, that's what, $1,400? A cheap one might go for $1,000. That's another $1,000 that you have to deal with. Oh, rats. Okay, well, then that means I'm at 11,000, right? Or 12, 13,000. I get $1,000 out of that, 13,000, right? Because we have to install our gas station at the house. Divided by 4 is 3,250. 3,250 times 20. And now we're at 65,000 miles. 65,000 miles you're going to have to drive to make up the difference in cost between an RT and a base model Charger EV. To make up the difference just in gas. But again, electricity ain't free. And let's say that it costs you $10. I don't even know what it would cost to fill up an EV overnight. $10, $20. Let's split the difference and call it 15. Okay. Well, I'm tired of doing math. All right. The fact of the matter is, it's starting to hurt my head. I'm going to say you're going to have to drive that thing 70,000 miles before you reach any kind of break-even mark. This is assuming you own a house. What happens if you don't own a house and somehow or another you are forced in a way to get one of these EVs? You've been compelled to get an EV. Well, now you've got to find a local charging station. And it's funny because this chat is actually inspired by a bit of an exchange that I have going on right now with somebody in the comment section saying, well, there's a charging station within 20 minutes of, within 20 minutes, within 20 minutes, bro. Yeah. Within 20 minutes, I can get to a charging station. Okay. I got a gas station right there, and it takes me 3 minutes to fill up my tank. You mean to tell me you're expecting somebody that doesn't have the privilege of owning a home that you can have a charging station in? You mean to tell me that it is okay to ask some single mom to take that car to that charging station, a place that is not near her house, because 20 minutes is a long ass away. So you're going to take the car to a charging station. If she's got her kids with her, she's got to deal with her kids. And you're charging this thing for how long? 20 minutes? 30, 40 minutes? How long does it actually take? See, that's the problem that EV has. It is inconvenient as hell for a huge chunk of people that are running around out there. In this economy, houses cost a ton of money that people just don't have. And it's weird that people that are well, I don't want to get into the people side of this, but this is where the car itself becomes the problem. Okay. You've got a vehicle that is supposed to be more convenient. And in some areas and in some ways it may be. But for the vast majority of people, it is going to cost way too much money on the front end and be far too inconvenient on the back end for it to make any real sense. Like, it would not make any sense. And we're not going to get into the environmental part of it because that is a non sequitur for me. I'm not even going to entertain this whole environment saving thing that EVs do, because they absolutely do not. So if you think that's the case, okay, Twinkle Toes, just right off into the sunset, unicorn dreams and rainbow delusions, because that is not how physics works. Hate to break it to you. That's just reality. So getting back to it, the other issues that you run into EVs as a car, like say, for example, because again, we're all Mopar fans here, right? And we have this EV coming, so you better get ready to snuggle up next to it. But one of the problems that you're going to have if you are an early adopter of this technology is that you've got too much competition. You've got too much strong competition out there in the wilderness, and this Dodge just does not have the claws or the teeth to fight back. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the other brands. I'm talking specifically about Rivian and Tesla. See, you're not going to get out of this conversation without bringing up Tesla. Personally, I'm a big fan of Teslas. This is where people get it really twisted. I talk a lot of shit, but the reality is that I'm a big fan of Tesla in general. I used to live in Northern California in the same town, Menlo Park, that the Tesla Roadster was being developed in. I had firsthand friends of mine that worked at Tesla, and I'm the guy that would actually stop and make sure that they didn't need any help when they're on the side of the road, when their speed controllers were bursting into flames up in the mountains. Yeah, so I've got firsthand early advocacy of this technology. But with all that being said, the interesting thing here is that you can buy a Tesla for about, I don't know, 3/4 the price of what these Dodges are going to be asking for. What? You mean to tell me that I can buy a Tesla, the benchmark standard for electric vehicles, for significantly less money? It will run significantly better. It will have significantly better range. Where's the plus side to the Dodge? Help me to understand where this is going. Because again, allow me to remind you that $61,500 is the entry price for one of these things. Guys, do you remember what else would cost somewhere between, I don't know, around $65,000? A little bit ago, but you might forget. Yeah, the Hellcat. You're asking original Hellcat money for this entry-level EV. A car that nobody asked for, and a car that is going to get housed by even the most plebeian Tesla models that are out there. Mopar, are you listening? This is not a good look. To come out and not have the baddest bully on the block is an insult to the name of Dodge. I could have even been on board with this as a rich man's toy, somebody's expensive pastime. I could be on board with this thing if it actually brought something to the table worth mentioning, but that's not where we're at with this car. Again, just pick any of the dual motor variants of whatever Tesla you want. It's going to run away from one of these Dodges. Oh, and now you want to bring up the 670 horse Scat Pack variant? Okay, the 670 horse Scat Pack variant, the one that's going to be somewhere after, doodads and baubles. Minimum of $75,000 for a base model. You're not going to get out of that without spending 80 grand. For just a little bit more money, you can get a plaid. A plaid. Yes. For a little bit more money, you can pick up a plaid that will absolutely run out of the life of this Scat Pack variant. 670 horsepower. Oh, it's good. That's what the freaking rear motors make in a plaid. The plaid, if you're to take some wire cutters and clip the freaking leads to the front motors, would still probably be faster than this Dodge. Okay? So that's where I'm at with Dodge's EV. They are underdeveloped. They are slow. They are wildly expensive. And that's just to begin with. We haven't even gotten into the questionable build quality. Oh, wait, that's Tesla's thing, right? Have you driven a Dodge lately? Come on, man. With my Hellcat, you realize how many issues that I had? Holy smokes. Oh, that brings me to my next topic, electrical problems. These cars already have had electrical problems. By the way, fun fact behind the scenes, I was having electric problems with my computer before I got onto this freaking call. So yeah, it was kind of funny that I'm having electrical problems while I'm trying to get on my live for a chat about electric vehicles. The irony, right? Or is that a coincidence? So where do we stand with all this? Are you a player, dear viewer, watching this either live or in the future? Did you, if this is far enough down the line, buy one of those EV chargers? What do you think? What do you think? Is it any good? Guys, I can tell you this. It's not looking good for Dodge in general. Okay. And let's not forget who Dodge fans are. Unless you are, hold on, we'll get to the owners in a minute. Unless a person has enough money and has the mentality to be an early adopter, which the majority of Dodge fans are not going to fit this mold, you're not a player on this car. You're not going to be considering it. You're not going to look at it from any real, honest to goodness, good faith positions to buy it. In other words, you're not going to look at it and go, that's for me. I think I'm going to have one of those. You're not. You're absolutely not going to do that. And I know that because of all of the feedback that I've received over the numerous videos that I've put out talking about the EV. And well, for that matter, not that we're getting too far off subject, but a lot of you guys are that miffed about the Hurricane Inline 6. So, I mean, if you're not into the 6-cylinder, then you are really not going to be into the EV, right? So anyway, that's the car part of it. Let me check in with you guys. And then we'll kind of keep evolving the chat as we go. Donald Powers is in saying, yo, Mr. B, Lime is in. Good seeing you, man. I haven't seen you for a while. Hard Rock is in saying, I hate EVs, but if you're going to go that route, Tesla Plaid is the way to go. A 9-second car that looks like a granny car. Tesla Plaid is sick, by the way. A Tesla Plaid, let me put it to you. I don't know that you guys can understand how fast, like how honest to God fast a Tesla Plaid accelerates. A Tesla Plaid is an effortless 950 car. Okay, what do I mean by effortless? I mean, you don't have to go in and beep, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep. You don't have to do, and to run a 950 in a Tesla Plaid, let me tell you what you do. You drive the car, you stop the car, you put your foot on the brake, and you just, I don't know, you don't load anything up, you don't do anything. You just 1, 2, 3 and floor it. Yoink, it goes 950s. You can go in and do some other things with the car. But like, cheetah mode and heats up the battery and all this, and it'll go quicker. But dude, it's running 950s. If you run in 950s, you're going to talk about 920s. Guys, I have run so many 950 passes in Hellcats that it it would bore you for me to even talk about it. But to get those cars to do it, there's always one nagging little thing in the back of the mind. Is something going to pop? Am I going to throw a rod? Is this the time where I got bad gas? Uh-oh. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that go through your mind. In a Plaid, it's just, do I need to get stevia with my latte, or do I want to go with true, real, raw, in the raw cane sugar? Can I afford the calories? I think I can. That's what you're thinking about in that Tesla. Hard Rock saying DA is not a factor. Actually, here's the scary part, Hard Rock. DA does play a factor in EVs, but not in the way that you think. It's more like altitude, true altitude. So if you are in thin air, or you're at high altitude, or a combination of the two, where you have less wind resistance, the car goes faster. The trick with a Tesla Plaid is to get it to run at the highest absolute altitude that you can possibly find. If it's in the Himalayas somewhere and there's a flat stretch of land that'll allow you to make a hit and it's level, that's where that car is going to go the quickest. So yeah, believe it or not, density altitude is still a thing, but it has everything to do with true air density at that point. The lower it is, the better. That's almost kind of true with turbo cars too, if you can believe it. But that is true, because turbos, as you know, are a cheat code. Superior Fit's going, hell no. So, but again, this chat tonight is really meant, just like all my videos, it's just a background noise generator. But we are kind of going in sequence tonight. So we talked about the cars. What I want to talk about next are the rivals to what this Dodge is going to come out with. We've already talked about the Tesla, the Model 3, the Model Y. It doesn't matter which one you're looking at. Those cars run good. And I'm telling you, if you're looking at just flat out quarter mile times, what this Dodge is going to have, the kind of uphill battle this thing has got is not to be underestimated. Tesla owns this market, but Rivian is coming on very strong. GM has got a fleet of EVs that are on the way. Ford is still, at least in some areas, doing exceptionally well with their Lightning truck. That Mustang thing seems to do well in certain pockets. So aside from that, nothing really coming. Well, aside from Jaguar looking like they're going to, we ain't even going to talk about that brand right now. That is just disgusting. So you've got Maserati that's got some, Alfa Romeo that looks like you've got a lot. Oh, wait, those are Stellantis. See where I'm going with this? You've got a lot of options that are coming up on the EV side, and all of which, well, are going to be less than these numbers right here. And I'll keep posting them up. $61,590 for your entry-level RT variant. You're looking at, again, by the time you get into the options and everything else, you add $3,000 to $5,000 to these prices. $75,000 going to look more like 78 or 79. That's still 80 grand as far as I'm concerned. You got too many options at that price point. And again, the people that are buying Teslas are typically the type of person that own a house or even better still, they live in high rises where they have built-in chargers on the facility that they have to pay for, right? So let's say it does cost you, when you fill her up, $15 or $18. Okay, that's a real cost that still needs to be incurred. The other thing is that EVs require less maintenance. Remember earlier when I was giving you guys the breakdown, where even if you account for $2,000 worth of oil changes, which you would never get to, right? $2,000 worth of oil changes and maintenance, brake pads, just general whatever on a regular car. That's what I pulled out of that $14,000 difference between an RT and a base model EV charger. You still have significant maintenance costs on your Tesla or your Rivian or your Charger in this case. I want to try to keep this as focused on the Charger as I can. There is still oil that needs to be changed. There's crankcase and gear case oil that still needs to be changed. People don't seem to realize that. And they even have filters. Some of these brands, Tesla, I know for sure, has even got a filter for crankcase oil changes. But brake pads, tires wear out more quickly. Hub bearings are going to be something that you may be concerned with. There are plenty of maintenance items to be concerned with when it comes to these cars. And let's also understand that it is still a machine at the end of the day, which could have anything go wrong with it at any time. I mean, look, just look at my Hellcat. I had wheel speed sensors, hubs go out. I've had body control module freak out, fuel pump driver freak out, the fuel pump itself freak out. Plenty of things to go wrong. Plenty of stuff can go wrong with EVs. Speed controllers flake out. Charging balance leads freak out, which can cause the battery to overcharge a particular cell, go into thermal runaway and what is it called? Rapid thermal decomposition. And the thing catches on fire. There's a lot of bad things that can happen. And the problem doesn't just stop there. And there's other fluids that are involved with this car. There's other things that need to be swapped out. It is not a zero maintenance thing. This is not a hair dryer. Not that I know much about them, but I can tell you this. You ain't got to change the freaking coolant in a hair dryer. All right. This isn't anything like that. And this is why you're going to see, and this is another reason why, talking about the cars themselves, this is one of the reasons why resale value is so bad on EVs. Nobody wants them. Nobody likes them. Nobody wants to have to be the one to replace a battery. That $20,000 battery. Now, granted, there is a cottage market rather that's coming up that could maybe recycle these things or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be looking at some type of a replacement if you plan on driving this thing long-term into the future and want to keep some kind of semblance of battery life, right? So these are the issues that you run into. These are the problems that you're going to run into with EVs just in general. Oh, yeah. I mentioned that, you've got bearings and things like that. I didn't say why. It's because they're significantly heavier. A significantly heavier vehicle, meaning that it takes longer to stop. It's harder on tires. I think I mentioned that, but if I didn't say it clearly, it's hell on tires to be part of an EV, especially because EVs generate torque immediately, and that wears out tires pretty quickly if you're driving the thing with any type of a spirited nature. But the other end, you know what else the big problem is with having a heavy car that, doesn't necessarily stop all that great? They don't handle quite as well. And they are a bit lumbering, to say the least. They can be heavy steering. But if something does go wrong and you do lose control of this car, you've now lost control of a car that has a lot more inertia as it's sliding aimlessly and ballistically into what could be a hard or soft stop. Okay. So yes, there are issues with that. Have you ever seen the government test where they take the EVs and they hit them into guardrails and they're going, uh-oh, this is something we didn't think about. When a normal car is 4,000 pounds, these things are 5,500 pounds and they're both going 80 miles an hour and they hit a guardrail. The guardrail can deal with 4,000 pounds. The guardrail can't deal with the 5,000 pounder. Whoops. Didn't see that coming. One of those weird unforeseen consequences, right? Good job, EV. These are facts that people aren't overlooking, by the way. Too much of this information is out there. Far too many people are smart. And this is the other thing. Just because you don't have the money for one of these cars, just because you don't have the facilities or the privilege to have these types of assets, doesn't mean you're a dummy. You just ain't there yet. So you don't need to be spending the assets that you have on a vehicle that is going to be representing much more than just a light inconvenience. This is a big deal for a lot of folks. So anyway, let's get back to what, it's funny. I just saw Sovereign's latest comment. Yes, we just talked on it. Good timing. Yep, the motor does need cooling. Hard Rock saying my parents know a couple that died in an EV. It malfunctioned and shot them into a semi. Well, that's a problem. The report showed the EV caused the horrific accident. That's a shame. I'll take another step here. My dad worked at a track, and later in life, his job, he basically just freelanced. He was corner working at a track, and one of his jobs was to talk to the EV guys. And the big deal with this is that they had to explain to the EV guys what to do in the event of a fire, because when the EVs were overloaded or overheated, and if they did catch on fire, there's no way to put that fire out. Putting water on it is a big problem, because putting water on it, you're throwing water onto lithium, and that's not good. By the way, when these things blast off, they're creating their own fuel. One of the byproducts of a rapid thermal decomposition is hydrogen. So yeah, it's not a good thing. They literally will burn themselves to a crisp. So what he would tell the drivers at the track was, if your car catches on fire, drive it to the outside of the track. Make sure that you're safe. Unbuckle yourself. Don't forget to unbuckle yourself, because sometimes people forget. And you are to exit your vehicle. You are not to try to get any of your belongings out of it. They should have already been removed before you started making laps on the track. Your car is now a complete write-off. It is going to burn to the ground, and they will not take any steps to try to mitigate the situation, because there is nothing that they can do to make it better. It will only make it marketably worse. That is the general speech that he would give to anybody with an EV at the track. In short, that thing starts to smoke, you get out of it faster than you can say quick, because if you don't, you are going to die in a horrific fire that nobody can extinguish. That's EV for you, folks. Did it happen every time somebody had an EV at the track? No. But it happened often enough to where you have to have a separate driver's meeting to go over the safety concerns of freaking EVs. So anyway, getting back to it, let me check in with you guys. I was saying firefighters have to use a new kind of blanket to smother the fire or contain it. Yep. And in the RC world, you see right back there, you have to use special bags to charge your batteries when you're in competition. It's a lipo bag, and it's not uncommon at all, by the way, for lipos, true lithium polymers, to pop when they are being charged, and it looks like a firework going off. It can get pretty scary, especially for the guys with the big packs. Hard Rock saying foam. They don't even use the foam anymore. It's pointless. Erickson, what is up, man? Hard Rock saying hello, Eric. So anyway, 33 minutes deep. We're going to start talking. We've already talked about the other brands. Okay. We've talked about Ford with the Mustang and the Lightning. We've got Rivian with their offerings. You've got GM with all of their offerings, Nissan with the Leaf. You've got other vehicles that are in this same sphere that Dodge is going to have to deal with. But here's the thing. It's the owners of these cars. These are the people, and I hate to say it, but there is a big portion, there is a vocal portion. I don't know what kind of a percentage of the population that they make up, but they seem to think that everybody just can buy an EV. How absolutely entitled are you? Have you been your entire life to be so entitled and to be so devoid of an understanding of how human beings exist in the world, to think that EVs are just a simple convenience, and unless you live out in Timbuktu, that you should just be able to find a charger pretty much anywhere, and your vehicle will be magically and safely charged, even if you don't have a house or the $1,000, $1,200, $1,400 to install a charging station. Oh, it's just $1,000, $1,400, whatever it is. That's a whole lot of money to some folks, especially when they're thinking, damn, okay, I've got a couple of kids. I'm getting started in life. I'm kind of a Dodge guy, man. I like this stuff. Not really a fan of Tesla, but man, I really want to get one of these EVs. But to get into it, man, I'm going to have to spend how much? And then I got to spend how much on a thing on the charger? And damn, man, I've got to think, man, doesn't have to get oil changes, but it still has to have some kind of fluids changed out in it. And oh, man, thing's kind of heavy. Tires are going to be a thing. A lot of these folks don't even own houses. A lot of these folks, live in apartments. And the thing is that the folks that are such advocates for the EVs themselves, that have the means and are privileged enough to be in a place where they have the resources to own the car, to charge the car, and to drive the thing, and to be their own energy refinery, just don't seem to understand that other people can't do that. These are the same people that'll go, well, there's homeless people. Well, why don't they just buy houses? Then they won't be homeless. That is exactly the same mentality as, oh, these people don't have EVs. Well, why don't they just buy an EV? They just buy an EV. That is the mentality. That's how you come across if it's not your mentality. It's precisely how you look to these people. Little wonder why people shit all over EVs all the time. Somebody can have absolutely no understanding of EVs, the intricacies, the convenience that it can provide for some people, which is a very real thing, by the way. No. Now, they're tired of being browbeaten about their gasoline-powered car because why don't you buy an EV? If you don't have an EV, you should just buy an EV. How disgusting that is. The look, the way that people perceive that is incredibly negative. And so that's why EVs have such a negative connotation. Tesla catches a lot of heat for it because they're the biggest, which is weird because if you like internal combustion engines, you need to love Tesla. I'm not kidding. Just a little bit aside. If you like EVs, you better be all kinds of kissy face with Tesla, because Tesla, well, Elon Musk, who is a driving factor in getting soon to be president again, Donald Trump, put in office. That's the guy that everybody is hoping will save the internal combustion engine in some way, shape, or form into the future. Yeah, it's the guy that owned Tesla, major freaking shareholder of the company, that was trying to get the guy elected. So yeah, everybody tip of the hat to Tesla, please. Credit where it's due. And again, for some people, that Tesla is a great and convenient option, provided you have the means and the resources to house and feed the thing, and you don't mind the risk of that thing potentially having an issue. Then by all means, it's a free market, baby. Own it if you like it. Hell, buy 5. I love you even more if you do. You're supporting my cause with every purchase of a Tesla. Please buy a t-shirt, buy a hat. But don't sit there and tell me that the fact of, or some stupid, well, it doesn't need this or it doesn't need that. I'm not even talking about Tesla when I'm talking about EVs. I'm talking specifically about the Dodge and the Dodge Charger. That's it. So what do I think about that car? Compared to the rest of the field, it's a turd. It's terrible. And the people that would try to compare it to a Tesla or to the Lightning or to the Mustang or to any of these other established EV like at this stage, almost legacy brands, you are absolutely missing the boat by a freaking, like this boat has already crested the horizon. All right. The crow's nest has already dipped below the horizon. That's how far off you are the mark. It has the Dodge having an EV is not a good look because Dodge enthusiast by a mollywhopper of factors of 10s to 1 are not fans of EVs. They're not even fans of technology, for crying out loud. Let's be real. Okay. We're all in the same family, boys. All right. Dodge sells nostalgia. That's it. They don't sell the most technologically advanced power plants. Their styling is based in cars that were, I mean, hell, they're coming up on 60, 70 years old at this stage of the game. I mean, hell, even the new Charger has got a bit of an odd silhouette. It's kind of an odd throwback. It's got a lot of the design language of a 68, 69, or 70 Charger. So yeah, they're still selling on nostalgia. It's nostalgia-bation all the time with this brand. So to try to do something with an EV, the folks that are into EVs, they're not even into this EV. You've got guys that own Dodge products that aren't into or even interested in the new EV Charger that would be more than willing to buy a Tesla Model Y. See what I'm getting at? Dodge fanboy isn't cool with EV. I'll tell you one better. Dodge fan, Dodge is very much like Harley Davidson and the Amish. They only will accept vehicles that were made before a specific date. Okay. Harley Davidson, it's whenever the Evo motor quit being made, that's when the real Harleys quit being made. The Amish is whenever, like the day before the internal combustion engine was put into a car, that's the kind of car or the carriage that they're rocking, right? Dodge guy quit looking at anything as being viable realistically in 1971 or maybe 74, depending on which one you're looking at. That 74 is when the E-Body Challenger and CUDA were discontinued. Anything past that, Dodge guy is not even interested. I mean, you'll talk about the new latest Gen 3 stuff, but even Dodge guy will say it's not a real Hemi, right? Don't forget that. That's where Dodge guy's head's at. That's where Dodge is. They sell nostalgia. Even though Dodge was a leader with 6-cylinder and 4-cylinder turbocharged hot rods back in the 80s, even then, they didn't get the love that they should have gotten or the respect that they really did earn because they didn't have V8s. So little wonder why. I mean, these guys, the mentality hasn't changed. These brands and their identity and their mentality ain't going to change. Okay. So now we're looking at an EV. Are you kidding me? Like this thing could not be further from the nostalgia message that Dodge would put out there. Like, are you kidding me? No, hell no. This isn't close to what the walking around Dodge fan, okay, the walking around Dodge fan, but more importantly, the walking around Dodge buyer. See, Dodge is a youth market. This is another thing. I'm talking about the people still. Dodge is a youth market. Most of the guys that would buy a Dodge, a lot of them male, 21 to say 41. So fairly young, very fit. These are the people that are going to be buying that car. They're going to be stretched to get the gasoline variant. But again, I'm not going to let you forget the electric vehicle entry, $61,000. This thing doesn't focus. $61,590 for the entry level car. $75,000 entry level price, by the way, for both of these, for the Scat Pack variant. Add about $3,000 or $5,000 for options, and that's where it puts you. That is a massive stretch, guys. That's a huge ask. You know how much money that is? Do you know how much, very much money that is for somebody to try to buy one of these cars? The only people that will be able to, and I mean, I'm being honest here, the only people that would be able to buy the EV at these prices, your average age goes from being 21 to 41. It goes from that number to 51 to 71. That's where the money is. And I'm sorry, but that is a demographic that you want to talk about not really taken to EV. I'll put it to you this way. These are the guys, if they're Mopar guys and they're from 51 to 71, these are the guys that'll tell you that the Gen 3 Hemi, that ain't a real Hemi. Well, I remember my uncle had a 69 Charger with a Hemi, and that Hemi was a Hemi. They'll sit there, Hemi on their way to the bathroom, okay? Seriously. That's who you're trying to impress with an electric vehicle? Nah, bro, that ain't going to work. So, no. Let's see. Let me check back in with you guys. Eric's going, the 2024 Dodge Charger EV is 6,000 pounds. Even worse. Let me get back up here and start checking in with y'all. Oh, Hard Rock said it costs more to register them in Vermont. Yep, that's another thing because you don't have gas tax to being paid. Eric saying EVs are just not the future people think. No, they're really not. They're not. Superior is going, damn right, Trump 2024. You're damn right with that. Sovereign saying Elon is head of DOGE, Dodge, Department of Government Efficiency. Very nice. Superior saying, sorry, you had to. Ain't nothing wrong with that, baby. Hard Rock saying option. Did I miss something? Oh, so I see some lipo is more volatile. A true lithium polymer is the battery technology that a lot of these guys are trying to move to is lithium ferrous. So it's LiFePO3. It's still a lithium polymer, but it's a lot more stable. It's just not as energy dense. And it doesn't have to be. This is one of those things too, where with EVs, that too many people sit around and talk about range and power and 0 to 60 and stuff like that, but they fail to understand that there's got to be a safety measure in here. And LiFe, which is LiFePO4, it's lithium ferrous phosphate, is the battery. And that is the battery that like a lot of remote control aviator guys will use. Mainly because if they auger their kit, it doesn't, it's drones. A lot of the drone guys use LiFe batteries because if the thing does crash in the middle of a field, the likelihood of it, the battery blowing up is way less than, in fact, it's practically non-existent versus a true lithium polymer, which will deliver more power, will deliver arguably more range, but not necessarily. But if it crashes, it's almost guaranteed to explode. And so that's the difference there, depending on how it's secured. Let's see. Someone said the Spirit RT was more popular in Mexico than America. Spirit's a fun little car. Oh, Hard Rock. Yeah, a lot of nice. Yeah, Scat's a good car, dude. Like saying Dodge at this point from all angles in time literally does not make. They don't know their left from the right. There's a lot of folks that would agree with that. Spirit ES, fun car. I had a 600. I loved it. I really wanted a convertible. You know what's funny is that 600 convertibles are actually kind of getting popular. Isn't that weird? Hard Rock saying, when I was driving a Plaid, not one complaint. I don't see, I mean, they're good cars. They're pretty durable. It was advertised to 145 miles per hour. Yep, my 600 would absolutely do 125. Spear saying, thank you, buddy. Thank you. Oh, there's Sovereign. Yep, lithium iron phosphate. That's the Li is lithium. Fe is the symbol for iron. PO4 is phosphate. Hard Rock saying the Plaid Solus. I don't know, man. They're fun. They're fast. LiFePO4 is popular in solar applications. Yes, it is. You can charge them and discharge them a lot, but they don't like being held at full charge, if I remember correctly. But those are some technicalities with battery technology. My thing is just keep them charged up. Don't worry about battery degradation. Oh, Donald talking about, yeah, the Sprint. Yeah, I think it was Lotus. Those cars were quick, man. Don't sleep on them. Eagle Talons were a hell of a lot of fun. Hard Rock, yeah, you're right. Spears Fit saying, so should I keep the cat? Keep the cat. I like them. They're good and they're durable. If you like the car and you just enjoy it as a street car, make sure that you get with Destroyer 1320. Get your, and I think Mason, discount code Mason is still in play. But get your neutral switch plate cover. Get your RFID bricked. Get an extra couple of fobs made, but get your RFID bricked. And that'll just help to ensure that it's very difficult to steal that thing. Sovereign, yeah, every 50,000 miles, the head gasket's blue. I actually blew the head gasket in my 600 too. No, vacuum lines. Yeah, vacuum lines are a real headache. But yeah, Eagle Talons, dude, I loved those cars back in the day. Eric saying, even though I'm not an EV car guy, even the Tesla EV, yeah, the Tesla S, it's a nice little car. Sovereign, I listened to part of it. Yeah, it sounds good. Spear saying, yes, thank you. Yeah, you put a lot of work into that, man. Hopefully you're getting paid for it. But yeah, no, man, look, guys, here's the thing. EVs, they have their place. They have their place, and I don't hate on EVs. What bothers me the most with EV is when it is part of a narrative that tries to drive that type of a car and this kind of a cost. I'm going to keep bringing this up. Okay, this is a real freaking thing here. $61,000 for the base model, $75,000 for the Scat Pack base model. Add $3,000 to $5,000 to that for options. Oh yeah, and you're probably going to want to install a supercharger at your house. That's going to cost you money. Okay, there is no free lunch with this stuff, and it still costs money to put electricity into your car. Okay, I've already shown you guys. I mean, it was really simple. What to show you, $14,000 difference between the base model RT and a gas-powered RT, and I'm talking about a 5.7. You're still looking at bare minimum, at the bare minimum. I'm just going to go out and say it, not including, and I even took $2,000 off just for maintenance and whatever. You're still looking at 60 to 65,000 miles before you break even on fueling cost, and that's on cost in general based on fuel, and that's even if electricity was free. So there is a real cost, and people have a real hard time making ends meet today as it is. You know, a lot of people don't have houses. A lot of people don't have the kind of money, if they have a house, to put a charger in the thing. This is real life, real people problems. if you don't have a house and you don't have the means to charge it, what are you going to do? Take it to a charging station? When it is the most inconvenient for you. God forbid you've got your kids with you, you're sitting there and you get to the charging station and for whatever reason it's not working. Somebody's vandalized it or whatever the case is, which has been a real issue in quite a few parts of the United States, by the way. So yeah, these things can happen. And there's gas stations on every corner. There's not charging stations. And if you've got to drive more than 5 minutes to fill her up, but you're going to have to sit there for 30, 40 minutes to do so, that is hugely inconvenient. And anybody that would try to argue against that, I'm going to pencil you in as part of the freaking problem. You're the reason why people don't adopt this technology, because you are so entitled and so privileged in your position to be able to say, oh yeah, just buy an EV. Let them eat cake, right? People can't afford that shit. And that's why I get so upset. I've got a certain sense of, I feel like I need to defend these folks, to give them a voice when it comes to these EVs and these mandates. Gasoline is convenient. It's cheap. The vehicles are far less expensive. You can fill her up anywhere and you can get yourself to work. You can get your kids to school, daycare. You can get your ass to the grocery store. You can do all of these things with a gasoline powered vehicle, and you can do so on a budget. You cannot do that with an EV. And anybody that would tell you that you don't have to maintain it or it takes far less maintenance is taken completely out of context. There's still fluids that need to be changed, tires that wear out far more quickly. The thing weighs a ton, so it's going to be burning through brakes. Even if you have one pedal driving characteristics, you're still going to have issues that are going to require maintenance. And on top of that, you've got a constantly degrading battery that you're going to have to deal with. You're going to keep this thing super long term to make up for the difference in price over fueling and maintenance. Okay, but how many miles are you going to get on this thing before you absolutely have to switch out that battery? When the battery no longer takes a charge, a full charge, like it only charges to what would be maybe considered 80%. Keep in mind, 80% charge is really only 70, because there's about a 10%, call it a angel share, that stays in the battery, even when it's brand new. The second that it's energized fully, you lose about 10% of the total capacity. And some people would say, I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking EVs. Boy, have you not been around me long enough. Anyway, that's my take on the whole thing. Guys, look, again, I personally think EVs have a place. In certain circumstances, they are the better alternative to internal combustion, but they are not the answer to our transportation needs. And they are certainly not the answer when you're a brand based in nostalgia, image, smoking tires, and rock and roll music. This is the reason why Harley Davidson fails at selling the live wire. This is why Dodge will fail at selling the Charger. It doesn't fit with the brand image, and it doesn't fit with the message, period. If you want an EV, go somewhere that's got an established EV market and presence. So guys, I'm going to check back in with you, and then I am out of here. Let's see. Sovereign's liking V6s. So Pierre's asking, do I have a Facebook? No, not really. Anything, I just use Facebook for Marketplace anyway. Oh, Hard Rock, cool footage of the truck. Yeah, the F-150 is running good. That thing is if I pull weight out of that truck and I run it tonight, it would be a 12-second pass. I can almost, well, not tonight because I'm really fat on fuel, but that truck scared the hell out of a 12-second pass a couple of days ago. So yeah, good stuff for sure. I really am liking that truck. We took it out tonight, and Smoking Hot and I had a little bit of a date today, and had a lot of fun, and we were in that truck, and it runs good. But anyway, guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Listen, guys, Get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more. Oh, Superior's in. He's Ray O'Kelly. I'll have to see if you'll have to check it out. But anyway, guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And if this is your first time watching the live, man, I really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much. Oh, looks like we had an ad thrown in there right as I'm doing an outro. Anyway, if it's your first time hanging out on the live show, thank you very much. I do appreciate you stopping by. Consider subscribing. It means a lot to the channel. Share it, do all of that good stuff. But with that, guys, I am out. You guys have a great one. Thanks again.